All right, ladies and gents, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Francisco. Let's talk about Riftstorm. Full disclosure, I have received a free copy of this game, this playtest for review, compliments of Keymailer. Now, before we continue, I want to let everybody know that this game is in a pre-alpha stage and there are going to be many improvements and changes in the future. The aim of this playtest is just to test the core mechanics and the overall feel of the game. That being said, ladies and gents, let's get started. I installed the game, and one of the first things that really captivated me is its ease of play. And what I mean by that is that this game is easy enough for anybody and everybody to just pick it up and play it and have a generally good understanding of what is happening, what you can and cannot do, and how to win. Now, I don't want that to be confused with easy. The game is not easy. The game is not difficult. It's not medium difficult. It's not anything. What the game is actually just simple. It is challenging and fair. As soon as you start off the game, you start off with Sterling. She's like the fully automatic rifle wielding operative that this game allows you to choose in this playtest. I select the first single player mission. I go ahead and go into the mission. I start playing around. And I think this mission serves as kind of like an introduction to the game and to the mechanics, and you kind of start learning how this game works. You start off in different rooms, you go in, you clear the enemies. Every time you clear a room, this little crystal thing spawns that allows you to pick one of 3 or 4 different power-ups that will stick with you throughout the duration of the mission. You go to the next room, rinse and repeat, and finally, once you get to the final room of the level, you fight the boss. This boss fight, although nothing absolutely amazing and spectacular, I think served a great purpose of introducing the player to what could potentially be. I think the boss had some fairly straightforward mechanics. It has this gnarly lava dash that it does. You just dodge out of the way, you shoot, you bring it down to 0 health, and you win. You collect your artifacts, you finish the mission, and you get your loot, and you hopefully get some sort of an upgrade to your weapon, and you move on to the next solo mission. Which, by the way, there's 4 to pick from right now in the playtest. You got 2 solo missions and 2 recommended co-op missions, and we'll get to those here in just a moment. So after wrapping up the first mission, I'm like, you know what? There's 2 other operatives we can play with right now. Let me go ahead and check them out real quick. So you go over to your loadout table, which, by the way, this is where you can kind of swap your guns out, take a look at your abilities and see what they do, and you can, of course, also switch out your operative. So I see Icarus, and I'm thinking Icarus has a pretty gnarly design. I like the way he looks, so let me go ahead and try him out. I mean, he's got a rifle with a scope. That means he's got to do some pretty high damage at range, which is exactly what it is. He's a sniper class character, so we replay the first mission, and here's where things kind of get to be a little more interesting. Because he's got a rifle, you have to charge the shot, and in this instance, it's not that you're charging a sniper shot, but more so like you're charging your aim, right? You start off with a pretty wide spread, which means it's going to be a very inaccurate shot. The longer you hold the button down, it narrows down, and once you have a finite line to aim with, you let that shot go and you're going to do massive amounts of damage. I really enjoyed playing with Icarus. There's one more operative I can play as, and his name is Atlas. And Atlas is what I would think to be the tank operative in the game. So I try him out, and I loved Atlas. Atlas is my favorite operative so far in this game. Out of the 3 that we can play as, Atlas is incredible. If you know how to use it, you can just destroy, and I mean absolutely indiscriminately destroy everything this game throws at you with Atlas. So after a few minutes of trying out the different operatives, getting really comfortable and familiar with the game and its mechanics and different power-ups that also, by the way, randomly generate. You don't get the same power-ups in the same room through the same crystal every time. They randomly generate. You have to make a choice. The choice that you make can and will definitely impact how the rest of your playthrough of that mission will go down. But again, I play through them all, and now I decide to go ahead and hop into the 3rd mission, which is the challenge tower. In this one, the game recommends that you try cooperatively, but unfortunately, I was having a little bit of trouble finding people to play cooperatively with, so I ended up going solo at it for most of the time. And up to this point, I did feel like the game was a little bit easy, okay? And now granted, I'm playing a shotgun blasting operative that just one-shots everything, so that could have been a factor for sure. And maybe the RNG was nice and kind to me and gave me some really good power-ups, but I was feeling like it was easy. But I get to this challenge tower, and that just completely turns upside down, because this becomes a lot more challenging really quickly. And I start seeing it where the everything now starts coming to fruition. You know, you start seeing some different elements, different things on the ground, things that will slow you down, spikes that come up and hurt you, different types of enemies, explosive canisters, and you inevitably run into Steve. And let me tell you about Steve. So you're sitting there, you're having the run of your life, you're just destroying and decimating everything in front of you, you're having a great run, your health is on point, your shield is full, and then all of a sudden you see this one mob pop out of the ground, just kind of hopping around, running around like crazy, and he just guns it right to you, and then he jumps on you. Steve transforms into this beautiful, majestic, red, blooming, glowing flower that then explodes. And when it explodes, it completely messes you up. It destroys your shield and a very healthy chunk of your health. But that's not the only problem. When Steve is on you, your controls are completely inverted. Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left. And it's okay when it's just you and Steve. But when it's you and Steve latched onto you, and then the other relentless amounts of mobs heading your way, that's when things get very complicated, and Steve has claimed many a good run in my challenge tower attempts, time after time after time. And even with Steve, I still didn't feel as if the game was being unfair with its challenge. As a matter of fact, I appreciate the existence of Steve. I like that Steve is there because Steve reminds me of my days of World of Warcraft and boss raiding, where every now and then during certain bosses, you're looking out for certain specific mobs or things that you have to completely shift your focus onto really quickly, or else your entire raid is going to wipe. And Steve made me feel that same exact sheer feeling of terror and panic, because the moment Steve shows up, I have to, without a doubt, with no question, shift my entire attention to Steve to make sure I either A, kill him really quickly, or B, dodge him lunging at me before he's able to attach to me. Now, everything I just said would probably lead you to believe that I'm some sort of expert at the Riftstorm and I already know what's going on and I got the game down and it's going to be great. I'm going to be a pro level player here, but that's the furthest thing from the truth. Steve and a couple of other things literally ruined my runs several times. So it finally, I got to the 5th floor for the first time, and I fought the first mini boss that you fight on the 5th floor, and this was it. This was the best boss encounter that I've had in this game so far, which now tells me that there's going to be so much more in terms of boss mechanics and what these bosses can do to you. That really just leaves me excited, because this boss that you fight isn't just a couple of mechanics here and there. This thing throws a whole lot your way. You're probably looking at it on screen, and I hope I'm doing a good job of representing the fight itself, because the fight is fantastic. I mean, he sits in the middle of the room, he spews out a whole bunch of projectiles, then he starts, jumping up into the air and slamming down. You gotta dodge the slams. Then he starts roly-polying around with a whole trail of lava. And then he does this thing where he pre-plots his path, and you gotta be quick and move out of the way while simultaneously dealing with wave after wave of mobs coming in there to basically just ruin your day. I was able to clear the boss on the first attempt, and as soon as I exited that room, I got into basically a checkpoint room. Well, not really a checkpoint room, but a safe room where it gives you the option to continue or exit. I exited because I wanted to take advantage of the loot that I gotten, in the hopes that I had gotten a better weapon, which I did. But now if I go back to the challenge tower, I have to start it all over again. Ladies and gents, here's the deal. I don't play these types of games. This is not the genre that I typically play. I don't really go out of my way to buy roguelike games. I appreciate them for what they are. But now, having played Riftstorm, there's a couple things I think I need to say. Number one, this is a good game. Like, the playtest alone has been an incredible amount of fun. And I'll give you some background here. I'm a full-time employee. I work 40 to 50, sometimes more hours a week. I come home, I come to my family, I do the family thing, and then at the end of the night, I've got about an hour to play. This is a fantastic game for those of us in this same kind of situation, because in that hour that I was able to play every single night that I got the playtest, I've been able to do quite a bit and have a good bit of fun while doing so. Number two, I appreciate what this game is doing and what it's going for so much. Now, Riftstorm has me wanting to go back and rediscover and replay other roguelikes that I've passed up on, or that I tried out for just a few minutes and put down. I'm not entirely sure when they have planned to do a full release of the game, but based off of my experience right now, which by the way, the playtest is live until the 21st of November, I will definitely be keeping an eye on this, because as it launches out in full release, I'm 100% picking the game up. Those are my thoughts, ladies and gents, on the Riftstorm Early Access playtest. Once again, this key was provided to me by Keymailer. Thank you very much. And this is all footage based off of pre-alpha build of the game. you enjoyed the video, thank you so much. I hope you did. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts about what you've seen so far today? Are you playtesting as well? And if you are, send me a message and let's co-op. Until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to one another. Peace out.